Everybody, it's Mike here. Today we're going to talk about lots of different ways you can use count functions in Excel. So first thing we're going to look at is counting people's names or text fields. And next we're going to look at how to count numbers. So if it's a numeric field or a value field, it's got dollars in there, look at how to count those. And we're going to look into how to count blanks, because once in a while you'll need that also. And then we're going to look into more advanced functions on counting, like we're going to count only if certain criteria is met. And then we'll do multiply criteria after that. So stay tuned, it gets exciting. Alright, so first thing we'll do is let me just do it right here. We'll start counting people's, the dollars, the salary. So we're going to do equals count, highlight all this, your data set, and close parentheses. Alright, so now we have that. We have 13, we can eyeball it and say yes, it's 13, looks good. And then after this, so if the reason we can't use it, see if I just drag this formula over and says, okay, now if I want to count people's names, it's highlighted over, it's highlighted column A. So the reason this comes back blank, and here it works because this is only counting, a count is only counting numbers. So what we want is, we want to delete this and we want to do equals count A. So this is going to count, like, I think of it as count alphanumeric. So it's like, text fields. So I'm going to count A, and this is going to be my range here, and say, hey, how many names do I have? And that's going to give us our same 13. So this will, you can play around with them. Some, you may like, blanks included. Some you may not want blanks. So count A is usually more used. A lot of people don't know about it as much, but it's definitely the more used one. And then if you wanted to count and say, hey, how many blanks are there? We'll type in count blank, because you may have some data. Let's say you had a space in here, space in your data set here, and you wanted to count those and exclude them, or find out how many. Let's say you get a price list from someone, and the price list has, a bunch of missing cells, so it's all blank in there. So you wanted to complain back to the manufacturer and say, hey, how come you gave me X amount of blank cells? And this would be a quick way you can just tell. I like to do this in a lot of my spreadsheets to find out and make sure there's no errors in anything that I'm doing. So I'm going to count my count blank. I'm just going to say, okay, it's like this. This way I know it'll give me this 1 right here if I select this. So now that I selected this, it gave me 1. That's the right answer. And there it is. So now, to get a little more advanced, if you have not seen my if statement videos, please make sure you go back and watch those so you can understand how to do if statements. So this is an if statement with a count function in it. Okay, so count if, and my range is going to be our name here, and our criteria. Looks like I want to count if the name is Mike, and this is a test to see if you watch my videos. So I'm going to type in Mike there. Something went wrong, the formula's blown. Not really. So guess what I forgot? Quotes. You need quotes around text fields. If you watch my other videos, you would have noticed that already. So just to see how on your toes you guys are. So now I'm counting if. Anytime you have a text field, you need these quotes around it. If I was doing it with dollars, if I was testing the salary and say, hey, give me a count of salaries that are $50,000, I would not need these quotes. Okay? And Excel does not care if it's case sensitive or not. See, this is a small m. I have a capital M and a lowercase m here. It does not matter. So most of the functions in Excel do not matter whether it's case sensitive or not. One of the few that I can think of is a find function. I have a video on find functions and how to get around that. I use the search. Watch that video, please. Make sure you check that out, because it's one of the few times where you can get around a formula and case sensitive or not case sensitive. Okay, now let's do a Countif. The name is equal to Mike and the salary is $17,000. So right now we're going to have to use a count. Ifs, we add an S because we want to count multiple, we want multiple if statements, multiple criteria here. So the first one here will be criteria range 1. So just like we did before, criteria range 1 is going to be the names. And then we do a comma. And we do the criteria is equal to Mike. So we type in quotes, Mike, and end quote. Then we type in a comma. And our criteria range 2 is going to be the salary here. So all of the salary. And then we do a comma and say, okay, what's the criteria for your second range? And we say, okay, that we want the salary to be $17,000. So we type in 17,000. Now remember, since this is a value here, we do not need the quotes around it like we do when we type in Mike, because Mike is text. So just a quick little information there, and then close parentheses. And there's our 1. And if we look at our data, looks like only one Mike has $17,000, so we know that this is correct. So one more step. So a lot of people will use this also when they're using Countifs. They're going to do stuff with greater than or equal to or less than. So the way you would write that is, so we'll change the $17,000 and we'll say, okay, we don't want it to be $17,000. We want it to be anything greater than $16,000, we'll say. So give me anything that's with a salary greater than $16,000 and still has the name of Mike. So let's change this. So this Mike part is going to be the same, except that, so we're going to change the $17,000 and we'll change it to a $16,000. And in front of the 16, what we're going to have to put in, we're going to put in quotes, and then we're going to put in greater than 16. And at the end of the $16,000, we put another set of quotes. I know this looks kind of weird, but it's almost treating it like a text, but this is the way Excel likes to do it. So this is going to pull up anything greater than $16,000 with the name of Mike. And this gives us 1 also because, hey, it's pulling back the same record. It's the only one that's greater than that. If we pulled, just to make sure it's working properly, if we pulled anything greater than $18,000, there's no Mike that's making more than $18,000, so we know it's correct. All right, so there's my 1, and now let me give you an example here. So if I wanted to say less than or equal to, a lot of people will use this. So less than or equal to $16,000. So what this would give me is anything greater to or less than $16,000. So basically it's saying, hey, give me anything for Mike, but I don't want to see it if don't count it if his salary is $16,000. Anything but $16,000, then count it. And if we hit enter, we get 2 because $15,000 and $17,000, both of them are either less than or greater than. So that's the way that works. And a lot of people will use this less than or greater than when they're doing zeros. So this is a very common thing. The reason being because let's say you get a spreadsheet from a coworker and you don't want to delete all the 0 records. You wanted to keep them all, realistically they should be gone, but just because of you want to keep the data integrity, you want to keep it the exact same as the way you received the file. What you do is you say, okay, I'm going to write this formula and this is going to say, hey, don't count anything with a 0 because realistically it shouldn't be in there to begin with. So this is how you would use that. So you'd say less than or greater than 0. Okay? If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment. All right, thanks.